Ladies and gentlemen, Darlene said, I'll just be me. It's the only thing I know how to be. Yes. Welcome to another episode of Love and Lattes. I'm Victoria, the self-love scientist, and today we're here with the beautiful Darlene Shenier. Darlene is a creative force behind Darlene's Photography, LLC. With a passion for storytelling and a flair for visual artistry, Darlene has seamlessly blended her 20 years of corporate expertise with her passion for photography, videography, and social media management. Having worked alongside C-suite executives across various industries in Las Vegas, Washington, D.C., and Northern Virginia, Darlene has gained invaluable experience in business operations and strategies. However, aside from the business, what truly resonates with Darlene through her corporate journey is the people and the stories they share. So Darlene's realization of the power of storytelling ignites a passion within her. She understands that compelling narratives can captivate audiences and drive success. And I personally know this because we had our very own experience and session with her photography skills that truly captured my essence and my branding and my storytelling about stepping more into your power as a woman, hints of feminine essence, and full-on self-love. So welcome, Darlene. Welcome to Love and Lattes.
Thank you for having me.
So, Darlene, why is it important for, like, I would say probably particularly women in the industry, why is it important for their stories to be captured and then published and then for people to see?
I think a lot of women in particular, a lot of us play roles like mom and wife, and we tend to kind of put ourselves in the back of the pack and put others people's needs ahead of us sometimes. And you know, it's uh it's all great that we do that, but we are like this force behind everything, and that deserves to be told and and highlighted and shared and helping others. So I don't believe in, not putting yourself out there. I definitely believe in putting yourself out there, connecting with people, helping people, and really, letting them know what it is that you have to give.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think one of the things you do, like part of your superpower is you help us highlight those things. Like you help us capture those essences, those personalities, the characteristics, because sometimes we can't see them for ourselves until we're in like that space with someone such as yourself. Like when we had our photography experience, I would have never felt as beautiful or
Oh,
seen the things that you saw, especially with like just setting the mood and the tone and just the creativity that flows there. So it's amazing. And
well,
I
thank you. I do see that. I think we all have our individuality, our, what we bring to the table that we don't even know that we bring. I mean, I've had people say things to me and I'm like, oh, wow, I did not know that about myself. But now that you mention it, yeah, I guess that's kind of what I do and who I am. Like, really never thought of it because we're just doing, we're just being, we're just, going along our day. But everyone is different. We bring something different, and that needs to be appreciated. It needs to be called out, and it needs to be like not hidden. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing that we're all different and we're not the same, and or we try to be the same as the next person. I do believe there's a lot of beauty in individuality and not like being cookie cutter of like the next person.
Yes, absolutely. We don't have to be, it's not all suits and it's not all the same backdrops. It's not all the same positions or the hair or the makeup. Like you get to bring your own unique taste, and even like just the presence in self can make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
And by the way, everyone, I'm going to have Darlene's information here. I really want you to check it out because it's like the way she captures everything is completely 4K. Like I can't get it. I can't get enough. It's true, like luscious luxury in her pictures, like for anything. And
But
yeah.
I don't even do it. Like you're doing it. Every single person has their own unique beauty. Every single person. I don't care what you look like. I don't care how tall you are, how, small you are. It doesn't matter. Like it literally doesn't. I can see the beauty that someone brings because it's their own individualness that they bring. Um, and so I just get to coach you and encourage you and snap the picture from like a good angle, but literally like my peoples in front of the lens are doing it. They're doing it all. I'm just there to capture it and bring it out of you. And I love, I guess that's literally the probably the thing that I love the most is every time I do a photo session, everyone is so nervous in the beginning. Tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't photograph well. I hate myself in pictures. And they're so stiff, but literally by the end, they are owning it. They're like a professional model. They've got it. I don't even have to tell them what to do anymore. And you see this beautiful change from like the beginning of the stiffness, the awkwardness to this like they really have just kind of let go, relaxed, owned it. And oh, at the end, those pictures really towards the end are so, so good.
Chef's kiss. Thank you. That's awesome. So how is it? You mentioned like clients might start pretty nervous. And I remember like we started ours up on the rooftop and I was like, I don't even know what to do. One of
Mhm.
my first be like, just be yourself. And I'm like, In that moment, I think I realized like a lot of us, especially women, tend to kind of not really know who that is. Like who am I? Like, what does she act like? So how do you encourage your clients to be more themselves or even to create this essence or energy of this woman that they want to show up as?
Well, number one, if you remember, one of the things that I've done is have you breathe. I can literally see people holding their breath when I'm um, looking through the lens. And I don't know if it's like my years, I did years of yoga and breath work is like so important. And I can I can notice when someone's they're not breathing. So that's one of the first things is I say breathe, and I'll breathe with you too. I'll be like, let out a sigh, and I can see that tension just kind of going away. That's one of the first things that I do. But I'm also paying attention to like through the lens. I'm not just there to just have you stand around and I just snapping the photos. Like I have a job to do, and my job is to guide you, make you feel comfortable, and make sure that it's an enjoyable experience. Like photography should not be this horrendous thing that you just are so nervous about. So number one is breathing. And then number two, I like turn into your hype girl somehow. And that is not fake. That is like real like hype girl that I do. And I make noises, this. Like I'm like, ooh, do that again. Oh, because it's exciting. I see the like the holding the breath and the nervousness. And then it's usually when I put my camera down to like check something and I like look up and my person is doing, I'm like, wait, you weren't doing that with the camera. Do that. And that like lightness and we're just here having a good time, even though we're here doing work. It just continues, that whole relaxation just continues to happen. And I think we all kind of need that, right? Like we're always in our head, like, I don't like this, I don't like that, I hate this, and I don't feel this today, and I don't. But, the moment someone's like, oh, nice shirt, nice, your hair looks great, and you're like, oh, it like you need that. And so I do that for everyone I photograph because I genuinely am excited. I'm genuinely wanting the person to have a great time. I love photography, so like my love for it just kind of like happens. But I think we all need that person it's just those positive thoughts to help you, become, because we're just always just like overthinking everything. So I think that's what happens. I become this like, I help you breathe and I become your hype girl. And everyone's like, oh, okay, I could just be me. And whatever that me is, even if they don't know, it's just relaxing. And then things just start going that way. And then I show them like the photo. I'll be like, look, and they're like, oh wow, that's me. I'm like, yep, that's all you. And it just starts to like get even better and better throughout the session. But we all need that. We all need that love and support and the kindness and the compliments and just, everybody needs that.
I agree. I think compliments and compassion to anyone or even towards ourselves can make a huge difference in the way we're showing up, whether it's in photography or just in real life. I think
Yeah.
we give ourselves a much harder time when it comes to showing up, whether like we talked about, you could be a mom, you could be a boss, you could be a leader or a wife or whatever your role is. Like aside from the titles, there's another part of you that deserves to be seen.
Yes. And it's human nature to want to um, be given like positive affirmations or positivity your way. Like, you know, everything is not always rainbows and butterflies. We know this. Like, that's, real life. But that doesn't mean you can't tell someone that they've done a good job or tell someone that they look amazing. Like, literally, it could be just one thing that you say to someone that could make their day. Can switch it can switch their day around positively or negatively. You could say something to someone and like just derail their day, or you can say something positive and it could just make their day, their week, or even their month. So yeah.
Hmm. The month is pretty, that's a big thing. That's really big.
Yeah, it can. Like, and if I can have a photo shoot with someone and during that day, make their day, they had a great experience, and then they get their photos and they're like, oh my God, this is awesome. And they start using their photos so that I can make someone's day or month or week better. And, I mean, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to do good, to, sprinkle a little bit of goodness however I can. Otherwise, like, seriously, what's the purpose? I don't know. I just think I'd rather be here to make people feel better and do good than not.
Yeah. I think that's important though. Like that's how everything literally trickles down from like the way like you and I interact and then the way I'm going to interact with the next person. Like everything is
Exactly.
changed like energetically and it's simply just a feeling. And when you mentioned like the compliments, I've definitely made it like my own kind of mission. And then I encourage other people to like just compliment a stranger, even if it's not like you don't get anything back. That's not the purpose.
Right.
Yet
Correct.
you're genuine in your words and the way you like just say it, just compliment them. Like you don't know them, you don't owe them anything, no strings, just and notice what that does for some people, you know. And I think my favorite part is when I see the relief in them and they're like, oh, like thank you so
Yeah.
much. Like you made my day, or like for women, it's all my favorite is like they do the twirl and they stick their leg out. They're like, Amazon.
Yes.
I think it's I think it's so wonderful. And like not too long ago I complimented a man at a coffee shop and I just came up to him. I was like, I just want to let you know that you look handsome today. And I was on my way out and he just looked at me. He's like,
I'm telling you, right?
you don't hear
Like,
it anymore. And I'm like,
that's kind of sad that that doesn't happen more often than it does. It like you're right that face, like that reaction where they're like, whoa, like I was not expecting that, and that's amazing. Because that person actually might be feeling good themselves, good that day, and they're like, hey, I'm like amazing today. And then someone like, reaffirms it,
yeah.
or they're faking it. They might be faking it that day because they're just like, oh, I've got a meeting. I have to like put something on nice, but I don't feel good. And then someone just like gives them that compliment. Seriously, just can like make their day.
And in that moment, that sudden, like when their eyes get really big or glossy, whether it's from the compliment or even like when you show us like the pictures in the camera, I think that's the moment where people start to realize like, I need to start paying more attention to myself.
Yes.
And like just receiving those words, like if I was walking down, like getting a coffee or walking to the Capitol or something, and someone just says, "Oh, you're beautiful," I'm like, "Oh, thank you." I literally forgot.
Yes.
Thank you for reminding me. You are right, and that's such a great feeling, and also it reminds us to be like, I need to recognize that because it's such a beautiful feeling to recognize like it adds to your worth, which creates confidence, which creates more self-love.
It does add to your worth. It does create confidence. And, I think there could be a negative connotation to confidence sometimes, where someone's like, who do you think you are to be so confident about yourself? However, if you think about it this way, that's fine, right? Like someone can think that way and be like, and I'll be like, okay, cool, whatever. Like I'm too confident for you. I'm just, but if you think about it, like if I'm going to buy something from someone or invest in something or whatever, be a part of something, I want to be a part of something where people are confident about what they do because then I'm confident in the decision I made to be part of that or purchase that or whatever. I'm not going to want to purchase something or do something with someone if they're not confident about what they're doing. If they're unsure, then I'm unsure. But if they're confident, then I'm confident. So, if you think about it that way, like you do have to show up confident. This is for business professionals, entrepreneurs, or I mean, it could be even for, someone who is whatever, like in whatever they do. You do have to show up confident in order to encourage others to be confident to be a part of you and what you're doing. Because if you're unsure, they're 100% unsure.
Mhm. If you're feeling uneasy, it's like they can see it and most of all feel it. And it's not just
Yeah.
wait, like, oh my gosh, I can get into that. Like the tonality, your energy.
Right? It could be even as simple as a server. Like if you're at a restaurant and you're like, hey, can you help me decide what I want to order? And they're like, well, I don't know. And you're like, you don't know? And you work here? Like, and I'm going to eat here? It really is like so simple. But if I have a server who's like, oh my gosh, yes, the best thing that we serve or the most popular thing we serve, and then you're like, oh, okay, right? Like it really is everywhere. It doesn't matter, it could be even your grocery store. Like it just when you interact with someone and if they're uneasy, unsure, then you're like, oh, wow. And that gives you that feeling as well, the being unsure and uncertain and uneasy. So yeah, confidence is key. I mean, and like my job is to make people feel confident and when they use those pictures to be confident about using those pictures and blast themselves everywhere they can blast themselves.
Yes, love that. And like along with the confidence, and as someone who like literally is capturing it through her own lens, how do you find it for yourself?
Hmm, that's a good question. Um, some days it's easier than others. Um, honestly, like for me, I think my confidence is I like think it takes a village. So for me, I have people around me, my family, my friends, other women business owners. I definitely get my confidence from that. But also, um, for me, it has actually taken a little while. Um, that I am who I am. I bring to the table what I bring to the table. And there could be someone who is so much better than me or, not or whatever. But I've realized lately, like, what I bring to the table is unique and that's awesome, right? And I get my confidence from knowing that I've done the work. I put in the time, I put in the work. Um, and so what I have put in has, I have this output now, and there's confidence in that, right? And it's hard though. Some days, like I'm like, gosh, I wish I could do more, or I should do more, I should learn more, I should do, all the shoulds, right? Like the shoulds are there. Um, and that's okay because that helps me grow too. I'm never just like comfortable in what I know. I'm always looking to, do better and learn more and just, all that. But I have to allow myself time to just say, okay, what have you done? And look at what you've done. Like, look at what you've done. And there is, appreciate that. And don't, I've learned this too, probably in the last year. I definitely don't need someone else to tell me that I've done a great job. I have just like, I'll sit and say, okay, let me look at what I've done. Who have I connected with? Who have I made an impact with? What have I done to learn and grow? And when I look at the whole big picture and if it's positive, I'm like, yes, you are good. You're doing great. And I allow myself to like give myself kudos to say, you get a star. You get a star, Darlene. You get a star. You've done well. No one else has given me the like the boxes I have to check to say that I've done well. These are like what I decide are the boxes for me to say that I got an A or a B or whatever. But that has taken so long for me to get there, honestly. Like it really has. And there are days too, still like where I don't feel confident, but that is again normal, human nature. We all do it. I don't care how amazing you are or how, what you've been able to accumulate and all the accomplishments, everyone still feels that. It is human nature and it is okay. But I think you could probably like go down that rabbit hole of like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I have found that what helps me is having my tribe of people. That I think has been the biggest game changer for me in the last 2 years is having others who understand what you're going through. And it's not just like your family and friends because they love you and they're going to tell you you're amazing and they're not going to really truly understand. For me, it has been, being a business owner, stepping away from corporate, going into business for myself. I found that having a network of other business owners who understand, like truly, truly understand how difficult it is, that has been the biggest game changer for me. So having a tribe of people who understand what I'm going through can relate, not friends, family, having others who you can talk to about business problems and, or this and that. And then they give you ideas and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. That has been the biggest thing for me.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I would agree. It's the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah, it took me a while to realize that it's really, really important.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I do appreciate the fact that you said you don't need to receive that, like, oh, you're doing so great. You're like, I'm aware. Even though like whether that's like you said, it's not every day, but then most days are like, let me take inventory like for a moment and just reflect on how far I've come, knowing that it is enough for me to to slow down.
Yeah, and I think that's what people need to also allow themselves to do, right? Is to stop and take a moment and take inventory um, to compare. Like, if I compare where I was this time last year, I've made huge strides. And if I allow myself to recognize that, I can be hopeful that in the next year I will make even more strides. If I've been able to do all this stuff in the last year, like what am I capable of doing in the next year? For me, that's where I go to. It's like, oh, if I've done this year, woo, like how amazing can I be in the next year? And I'm not afraid to say that because it's freaking hard. It's so hard.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I completely agree. When you give yourself that time to be like you said, like where you were a year ago, and I'm really excited to hear that. Like again, I love watching your reels and the people that you were serving. And I can definitely say like when we give us that moment to like just sit there and kind of look around like, huh, I've actually come pretty far, like compared to like you said, like last year, just different experiences are continuing to shape us. And it's these experiences and these moments where you're checking in, looking at your community, looking at where your energy is going, and saying, Oh, wow. Like, I'm not the same woman I was 6 months ago. I am definitely not the same woman I was 2 years ago. So, who is it that I want to be next year? And like, these achievements and experiences are going to, if it's not this, it's going to be something even better.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Oh, I love this conversation, Darlene. Thank you.
Mm.
Before I let you go, oh my gosh, has it been that long? Okay, yeah, it has. I am a huge fan. Darlene's so beautiful. If you're watching the video, Darlene, she's stunning.
You're so sweet. You're stunning, please. Like the pictures we took, I mean, like not all of them can be shown, but I mean, or maybe they could. I don't know.
Maybe
But
they
they have, you're
could.
like, what? Yeah, of course they can. What are you talking about?
I will. Let me grab those flowers.
Right?
Oh my gosh. So I think what I wanted to kind of ask, just to kind of wrap up our conversation, if there's anyone listening, like, for any women or any, even men who are listening or business leaders who are looking to probably show up more confidently, what would you recommend they start with?
Ooh, um, I think if you want to show up more confidently, there's a little bit of risk that is involved with that, right? And when I say risk, it's like, okay, if you are like, I want to show up more confidently, like maybe I want to go to my boss and tell him I deserve more, or maybe I want to quit my job and do something else. And, there's whatever it is that you're trying, there's a little risk because you're like, well, what if they say no? What if they judge me? What if what all the what ifs? And there's a little risk. Okay, well, yeah, there is the what if. Like, what if they say yes or no, or what if they say yes? Or what if they judge you, or what if they don't judge you and think you're amazing? I think there's always like a little bit of risk in whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And if you recognize that, okay, it's risky, I could be judged, and you're probably not going to be judged, but you think you're going to be judged. I could be judged, or I can be denied, or I could be turned down, whatever that negative feeling, recognizing that that could happen. But if you don't take a risk, I mean, like if I didn't take a risk 2.5 years ago when I left my job, I would not be here today. And every day I get to do what I love to do. I traded working at corporate, working on spreadsheets all day long and things that were like literally draining the life out of me to spending my days on podcasts like this, talking to other creatives, doing creative things like working in Canva, working in Photoshop, working in like all this really cool freaking stuff. And I am so happy that I took that risk. And it was a huge risk. I left a 6-figure job and I was like, no, I'm done. Everyone thought I was crazy. And that was a risk, right? It was a huge risk and it was so scary. But I think now, 2.5 years later, I am so glad that I did. I get to spend my days how I want to spend my days. And there's so much power in that. Oh my God, it's like insane. And I think that's where I got my confidence, right? Like I was like, holy crap, I did that. That's wild. And I'm so glad that I did. And so yeah, I would say that there's a risk that you're gonna have to take and you're just gonna have to do it.
And you're worth it. You're worth
You are
it.
so worth it. No one, that's yes, yes. I think that when I was doing things that I didn't want to do, and other people were telling me what my worth was. Ah, well, you just made me realize something, by the way. Like for a really long time, I was going to others to tell me my worth. And my boss told me whether I was going to get a raise or not, told me if I did a bad job or not. And I was like, yeah, that's not working for me anymore. And now I get to tell myself, like, there's no one else who tells me that except for myself. If I want to give myself a raise, I give myself a raise. If I want to give myself a vacation, I get to do that. But I have to work towards it. I have to earn it. And if I did a bad job, I know when I do a bad job. And like now I know when I do a good freaking job. And no one else needs to tell me that. There is like, mm, I am like, oh, it's just amazing. I get to tell myself what my worth is.
Yes. Your word carries a lot deeper to yourself than truly other people. And I think it's really important for us to understand that, it's it's like when people receive compliments, like back to that whole like complimenting men or women, it's the way they receive it. It's like, oh, you look lovely today. And the moment they even think like, what this? Then internally there's this dialogue happening that's like they start playing that the mind chatter of what if, what if, what if, what if. And
Yeah.
I believe like you said, taking that risk for yourself to start your own business and go all in, like go full time everything because you can feel within you like yeah, I can totally do this. I'm worth it. And
Well, there was always a question, like so I've been doing photography for a really long time, but I was working corporate and doing photography on the side. And um, my corporate job took what, like 85% of my time. And so my photography only took about 15% of my time. And that 15%, it was doing okay. So there was always this question in my head, like, well, what if I gave it 100%? It's doing okay with me just giving it 15% of my energy. What if I gave it all of my energy? Like how? So there was always a question. And, I think things kind of happened the way they were supposed to happen. The company I was at, just things started to change and like it just wasn't aligning with me anymore. And I felt like I had to make that decision. I had to leave. Everything was, you just got to kind of like listen to things. And I'm just so glad that I did. But I always knew, like, okay, if this doesn't work, I can just go and get a job again. But I took the risk and I was 100% worth it. But I will say where I'm at today with my confidence, the fact that I can say, like, I made this decision, it was the best decision. It's taken me a long time to get to where I'm at today. This is not like it happened yesterday and today's been great. It's taken a while, and I 100% did it with people making the decision to leave my job. I had people helping me making that decision. Again, I didn't do this alone. 100% a tribe helped me get there. So if I think people just need to like start looking for their tribe. That was a game changer. And remembering to be, patient because it does take time. This doesn't happen overnight.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. Confidence is something that you already have, and the lifestyle that you want to create is available for you, but it
Yeah.
does take patience. It takes a little bit of love, and it also takes, I want to say discipline because, it's not like you wake up and you're like, you know what? That's it. It's more like, okay, let's develop a little bit of strategy. And also like you really need to feed it, like feed it.
Yeah.
And then again, like you said, having that tribe, it does feel good to know that there are people in your corner who know exactly like where you've been, where you want to go, the right people already know what you're worth. They're just going to help you like add those little reminders. I have wonderful women in my life who will remind me if I even ask a question about a certain situation. They're like, is this like is this really you though? Or is this are you doing something from the past? Is this on your vision board? Is it on the mood board?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
right, let me redirect because it's so easy to fall back.
Oh my God, that's so good. Like you said, redirect, right? Like we are creatures of habit. And if we've formed bad habits, we're going to stay in those bad habits until you have your tribe to say, like, hey, I actually just had someone tell me, like, they said something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, right. I didn't think about that. She's like, oh, good, because I didn't know if I should say that to you. And I was like, of course you can say that to me. Like, please, like, if there's something, I don't know what you're seeing. Like, I'm just, again, like, I'm doing my bad habits. I'm doing me. This is just like what I've done my whole life. And it takes work, it takes discipline to get out of those bad habits and to think differently, to think confidently, to take the risks, to take the chances, because we could just go back into that little shell that's like comfortable. But again, that tribe of people, like I want the people close to me I mean, you don't want people to be mean to you. You don't want, but like if they recognize something like, hey, like, let me know that you're recognizing something so I can redirect myself onto the right track.
Amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for being here, Darlene. I truly appreciate you.
Thank you. This is awesome.
If you're all in the, Virginia area, please check out Darlene's work because it is chef's kiss, like amazing, very crisp. And she's all about matching. Like she's gonna bring that story, like your story, your essence to life. And even if like you have like a little, if you're a little nervous or, you know, if you feel like you don't have the confidence, we literally just had this whole episode about how you can work on it and how having the right tribe can bring it out for you.
Yeah, and I would say one last thing, which is really important because I met a lot of people. If you think you don't have a story, it's not true. Everyone has a story. So if you are like, I don't know what my story is, I don't think I have one, I say that's BS. You do. And I would love to help you try and bring that out and let the world know it. Everyone deserves to be able to tell their story.
Yes, thank you for saying that. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Love and Lattes. We'll see you in the next episode.